And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to The Bald Truth. Phone number 888-659-3727, 888-659-3727. Listen guys, we have a very, very special The Bald Truth tonight. I hate saying that. I say that all the time. Very special, The Bald Truth. But tonight we really do have a special The Bald Truth. We have the BBC here, who is they're filming the show, but they're basically what they're doing is they're doing a documentary on hair loss, and you guys probably don't know him here in the U.S., but we have in studio with us a guy by the name of Gerry Anderson, who is a very well-known broadcaster in Ireland. He's with the BBC, and I guess this documentary is about Gerry's journey through the entire, trying to navigate through this crazy hair loss industry. He's not sure if he wants to have anything done. He's obviously, concerned about his hair loss. That's why he's doing this. But, he's kind of taking this journey to learn about the entire scope and, I guess, possible pitfalls of this industry. And I wanted to have him on tonight to talk about his journey and really why the hell he's here. Because I got to tell you, Gerry, you don't look that bad. You are a guy who's, getting a little, up there in years. No offense, but you look like you're a few years older than I am. And you still have a lot of hair in your head. So, why are you so concerned about this?
Well, I wasn't really terribly concerned at the beginning when I first got interested in this, but a couple of friends of mine had issues about hair loss. And
no, wait, let me cut you off. Is that true? Are you really weren't concerned, or is it just a UK thing?
Not really, because the first time I ever noticed any slight hair loss at all, I was 25. And it was just slight, round the side of the hair. You're partying, just suddenly it gets a little bit funny. And you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and you go, hold on a minute, a little thing going on there. So this was gradual. But it never really bothered me so much. I think when it's gradual, it doesn't really bother you so much. Maybe your listeners will say different. But it never really bothered me all that much, because I would like to think that, that I didn't have an issue about it. And I don't think I had. But then later on, it got progressively kind of worse, and I didn't feel too badly about it, but then I got interested in it. So a few friends of mine had a similar situation. They had hair loss, and I was talking to them, that kind of thing. And then I read a couple of wee articles and things like that, and we got round to a position whereby we were making a program, and I suggested it'd be a good idea to look at this world, because there were so many things that people didn't know about, hair loss, hair transplantation, all that kind of thing. And of course, lots of quacks, lots of people on the radio, lots of people on television selling you all kinds of stuff, And then, of course, everybody was familiar with the Elton John story. There's a man with millions and millions and millions, and he couldn't get anything done. And there was all these stories of botched hair transplants. What's going on here? And then suddenly somebody, a couple of people whom I will not name, have suddenly got these perfectly wonderful transplants. So the word went around that the thing had been cracked, basically. But
I don't mean to cut you off. The truth of the matter is there are some really great hair transplants out there. There's some guys who are doing truly state-of-the-art hair transplantation. But at least here in North America, there's about 1,500 doctors performing surgery, claiming that they're hair transplant surgeons, claiming that they are experts in this field. And frankly, I can only recommend less than 60.
Yeah.
Less than 60 doctors out of 1,500 in North America. And I got to tell you, the UK, it's a complete disaster. There's only one right now. Actually, I may be recommending someone else. I don't want to mention his name, but right now there's one doctor that I could recommend in the UK. And that's sad, because there's a lot of, I think that says a lot, because there's a lot of guys out there that are doing hair transplants. And sadly, what's walking out of the doors down in Harley Street and other places, people's lives are being destroyed. So I think it's important that you're doing this research, and I think it's important that you're really taking the time to kind of step back from things and go through this journey, because I got to tell you, once you're cut, you're cut. If you have a bad hair transplant, while you can be, repaired to some degree.
I've seen a few of those. I've seen a couple of botched jobs.
Anytime you notice a hair transplant, it's a botched job. You said something interesting to me. My fans know me as the Harry Houdini of the comb-over. I'm a guy who will do anything to try to give myself, this semblance of a full-looking head of hair. It's shellacked over. I put makeup in the back, but I've been very lucky to save most of my hair with medication. You were prepared. You said you're prepared to see somebody either with a wig or a hair transplant, and I find that interesting because you don't notice a good hair transplant. So if you were looking for someone with a hair transplant, then you would be seeing a bad hair transplant if you noticed it.
But suppose you're actually actively looking for someone who's had work done on his hair. It would be very difficult to actually disguise that. If a person's looking. See, I'm walking along and I'm not particularly looking at people's heads, that kind of thing. But if I'm actually studying people's heads, I will see some kind of evidence, won't I? If I look hard enough, no matter how good it is. Well, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the transplant. It depends on the person's hair characteristics. It depends on the person's hair color, the contrast between the skin and the hair. There's a lot of variables that you just don't learn about just by going on somebody's website. Doctors. You can go out there and speak with the best doctor in the field, but the truth of the matter is there's certain nuances that they may not reveal to you that you really have to understand. And one thing is, you can go to a doctor who's great, but if you have a different type of hair characteristic than somebody who had a great result, you may not have that same result. If you don't have the right amount of donor hair, if you have a darker you have graying hair, which is actually good for hair transplantation. And you look to me like you're probably a pretty good candidate. But
I know this. I've been told this by an expert, a man who's prepared to do something with me if I want it done. He's told me that I'm a perfect specimen, basically.
Well, I'd say you're a pretty good specimen. But
because I've got I've got a lot of hair around the side here. It's kind of salt and pepper thing.
The thing is, you still also have a lot in your hairline. Now, this is the issue. Did they talk to you about the possibility of hair loss? Shock fallout?
No.
Okay. Well, of going in for the surgery and then losing a lot of your native hair that may or may not grow back. That's a real possibility, especially if they're going in between that hair and your hairline.
You mean lose the hair that you already have?
Lose the hair that you have right now. Lose the hair that you're using to comb back, to give you that.
I'm not combing it back.
Okay, well, using the hair that you have to currently frame your face. Imagine if you lost it. How would you feel?
Well, I'd probably notice it. And I would notice it.
But what happened if you went in for surgery with the best surgeon in the world and they didn't tell you that that's a possibility and it happened? Would you be pissed off?
I probably would be. Now, one of the things that one of the guys said to me, the fellow I went to, he said that I thought it was quite illuminating. He said, if a totally bald man came into me and I give him a photograph of your hair and he said, I could make you look like that, he'd be delighted.
Yes.
See, so it's all relative, isn't it?
It is relative, and also, it depends on what's age appropriate. A guy who is 27 years old may not be happy with your head of hair, but a guy, I don't know how old you are, but a guy who is, past the age of 45, may be very, happy with it.
That's right, yeah. Well, I've just passed 45.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah. That's what I heard.
But, it's amazing what I've learnt. And the more I learn, the more I realize how important this is. And the more I realize that a lot of people who have not thought of it deeply don't really think it's important. But as I said, the only people who will ever say to you, and I'm sure you know this, the only people who, if you've got a friend with a full head of hair, he may say to you, oh, look, do you realize you're losing your hair? No man who's ever losing his hair will ever say that to another guy.
Right.
So there's always that kind of end of it.
But why is it like that? Why is it still the last bastion of political incorrectness? Why, if I went up to a woman and said, you know what, your ass is getting really fat, that wouldn't go over too well. But something that we can't control, women and guys can come up to us and say, hey, what's up with your hair? Because I do what I do, people stare at my hair all the time. In general, maybe sometimes I get a weird look, but most of the time I kind of get away with the comb over situation. But
when I first saw you, first met you today, I was amazed because I actually thought that you must be wearing some kind of hairpiece because your hair looks great.
I have a ton of makeup on my head right now.
But how can you put makeup on your head?
I'm gonna rub it off and on my fingertips. Oh, I can't get it. I put too much hairspray on. Here, see that?
Right, okay.
That's black soot that I wear on the top of my head. Okay. That's what I have to deal with. I have to.
No, but hold on a minute. I'm sitting here looking at you from profile. I mean, you look perfect. Your hair looks great.
That's what I've heard. Thank you for that. No, but the truth of the matter is, I go to the dentist office. I leave like a black smiley face in the bolster. If I'm there too long, and it could be embarrassing. I kind of let it all hang out and let people know what I deal with. But most people can't do that. And that's really what the broadcast is about. And I think that's probably what you're going to be learning about in your journey. You're probably going to speak to a lot of guys who are going to, they're going to man up and they're going to say, it's no big deal. But then you're going to get the guys who may not want to be on camera. I just looked into the camera, by the way, guys. Okay. I do that all the time. May not want to be on camera, and they're going to tell the truth. Probably some of the guys that are calling right now. So why don't we take a phone call?
Okay.
You know what? I know who this is because he's been holding on 20 minutes before the show. It's probably our guy, Joe. But let's see if, in fact, it is. Hey, man, you're on the air. Who's this?
On behalf of the hair loss sufferers of the United States, I'd like to welcome your British guests of the BBC to the world of hair loss, American hair loss sufferers, my friend.
Thank you.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
My name is excuse me. My name is
Would you like to may reiterate it?
My name is
Have you heard it? Excuse me.
My name is
Joe from Staten Island.
Joe, now you've made it across the pond, as they say. You've been in just about every major publication here in the U.S., New York Times, New Yorker Magazine, Washington Post Magazine, and the Washington Post. Now these guys are going to know about you in the U.K.
You've gone global, Joe.
Well, I appreciate that. What was your name again, Gerry, sir?
Sorry, Joe?
What was your name, sir? I didn't get your name. Gerry?
Gerry Anderson, yes,
now,
Joe.
First of all, Gerry, he's from Staten Island, so I may have to translate for you.
Okay, there may be
Is he, I'm a little confused, Spencer. Is he in your studio or is he live from the UK?
He's in my studio, live in Los Angeles. Now, maybe if every once in a while you would watch the goddamn show instead of listen to it. I mean, we're in a new world here. You can watch me now, Joe. You don't have to listen to the show.
Well, I hope that your security staff has properly vetted him.
Yeah, my security staff definitely, yeah. I patted him down when he walked through the door. Don't worry about it.
Yes. Now, I'm a little confused about Gerry. Is he a journalist? Is he a hair loss expert? Or is he just a hair loss sufferer?
Well, I'll let Gerry answer that question.
Yes, Joe, I'm basically a broadcaster and work in television as well. And I just developed an interest in hair loss, hair transplants, that kind of thing. And what we're basically doing, we're making this documentary, TV documentary, trying to explore the world of, people who have experienced hair loss, how it affects various people, and what treatments are available to them, and what they're being told, and what they're being told that they shouldn't be told, and what they're told that they should be told. We're just trying to find out what it's all about, and what is the state of hair transplant technology at the moment. Can it be done profitably? Can people, get a new life without worrying about being butchered, basically?
Well,
I think Joe's got a good answer for that. And I got people from the Peanut Gallery writing me in the message in the chat room saying I should look at my guest more. But I'm just, I'm not used to having people in the studio I had to reset everything. Usually someone's sitting right across from me.
Absolutely right. That's because whenever you're used to doing radio all the time, sometimes you don't look at people. It's no big deal, but probably looks weird on TV, doesn't it?
Yeah, don't take offense to it.
No, don't worry about that. No, I'm wounded.
Well, on a personal level, Gerry, have you had the pleasure of meeting Spencer's lovely wife, Yvette?
No, I have not. We've just arrived about an hour ago, and Spencer has make sure everybody's left the house. He doesn't want to meet us.
Yeah, I don't want anybody meeting Yvette. Apparently there's some people out there that don't think Yvette is real. Like I have some real doll hidden up in my closet, and she's not a real person. But I assure you, she is real.
Well, here are all those women in the kitchen wearing bikinis.
Yeah, well, that's for later.
Sorry.
That's for later.
Well, the beautiful girl I was sitting across the table from on several occasions, ingesting multiple Belly Irish creams. I guess she was a product of my delusions, possibly.
Well, actually, the lovely Yvette is watching the broadcast right now from her mom's house with her brother. She took our dog Hunter over there so that these lovely people from the BBC would not get mauled. And we didn't want any, it's a whole legal issue. I would have had to have them sign disclaimers and releases.
Well, let me just give me a few minutes, if you don't mind. Gerry, I've been on the air with Spencer now for approximately 14 years.
And let me explain that. And no offense, Joe. Let me just... he has been on the air with me for 14 years. Joe was my first caller. Joe called when I was on WABC in New York. Joe called the program, and he's been calling ever since. And
why not?
Joe is a guy that has been, and I was actually talking about you earlier, Joe, that you were a guy who unfortunately got butchered by someone who is very well known in the industry. And you've kind of lived your life as a recluse ever since.
Really?
Joe? Yes, I'm basically, Gerry, I'm basically bedridden today. I'm totally disabled. I'm unable to work, and I'm unable to function a normal life.
Have you had some accident or anything? Or is it just... Are you disabled?
Yes, I had a big accident.
Are you disabled because of what happened to you during that hair transplant? What did you get done? Did you get something done?
Well, I've had, several procedures. I suffer from cardiac disease, several psychiatric disorders. I suffer from multiple disorders. I've seen, as Spencer knows, I've seen several physicians. According to them, it's not so bad. It can be, repaired, but...
Now, Joe, in the world of radio, that spells money. You're just a money caller, so... that's why we appreciate you calling in all the time. But the truth of the matter is, you are really... A lot of people think it's a shtick, but it's not. You really are suffering.
I suffer every moment of my life.
How do you suffer, Joe?
I'm really agoraphobic. I really can't leave the house. I'm just unable to enjoy life due to the fact I'm a hell of a sufferer.
That's the only reason that you can't leave a full life?
No, I do suffer from psychiatric issues. I'm a manic depressive, psychotic, schizophrenic, and I do have coronary artery disease.
Well, that's a handful, yeah. Yeah. But you regard the hair loss thing as being a major reason why you can't function normally. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, let's put it this way. That started it. But I've actually been a hair loss sufferer since I was 12 years old because I knew, I'm a hair loss expert. I knew my maternal grandfather was bald, that I was sentenced to a life of hair loss.
But that's a myth, though, Steve. Isn't it? That's a myth.
I'll have to contradict you on that, Gerry. Sorry.
Well, it's actually it comes from either side of the family. So,
but it is dominant on the...
Well, there was a recent study, Joe is right, a recent study that is leaning towards that maybe not being such a wives' tale. But the truth of the matter is, Joe, you know that it can come from either side of your family. And we do know that whether it's your dad's side or your mother's side, if there's some hair loss in your lineage, God, I can't speak tonight, it's very possible that you're going to be dealing with it. You never know when that genetic switch is going to go off. So... Joe, you just happen to be a long-time sufferer. But listen, I'm gonna keep you potted up. I want to take another call. Is that cool?
Well, guys, inform Gerry one thing, please. Take me 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's what he's here. He's here to learn.
Gerry,
yes.
Let me tell you, my father's 84 years of age. He has the hairline of, I'm sure you're familiar with former president, the great President Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That's my father's hair loss lineage. He actually growing more hair now as he's getting older.
Well, so you would have thought that you would have inherited that trait, but you didn't.
No, I didn't. I knew right away. My maternal grandfather was a NOAA Class 7, and I knew that was my destiny since I was 12 years old. I've been basically an alcoholic since that age and a drug addict.
All right, well, listen, another uplifting call, Joe. We're going to put you on hold, and we're going to take another phone call.
It's all laughs here, isn't it?
I'm telling you. I told you. I warned you. 888-659-3727 is the phone number. Give us a call here. Gerry Anderson, all the way from Ireland. He is a BBC broadcaster, kind of doing his own journey, trying to learn about this crazy thing that we deal with. I guess he's now kind of admitted that he's part of this insane fraternity that no one wants to really belong to, but he's here, and he wants to figure out what he's going to do. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this? Hello, you're on the air. What can I do for you? I'm going to give you one more try. You're on the air. All right. Joe, I'm going to come back to you.
I'm still on the air, Spencer.
You're always on the air. You've been on the air for 14 years. I know you're on the air.
Is this gentleman from Northern Ireland or from the Irish Republic?
Northern Ireland, actually, yes.
Oh, good. So you're a member of Great Britain.
That's right. BBC operate in Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, UK.
Oh, I see.
Stephen, could I ask you that? Sorry, Joe, could I just ask Stephen something?
You call me Stephen, Stewart. What? It's Spencer.
Spencer, I'm sorry.
It's
Spencer,
okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm just busting your chops, man.
I'm sorry. I was distracted there for a moment. I was just thinking about something. That caller you had there, was that someone who was there, or were they reluctant to speak? Or
it's very possible,
yeah.
And that usually doesn't happen. Once they do make the phone call, they usually commit. But I've been having so many problems with my bandwidth. Or what I don't know if maybe they just didn't drop the call.
Okay.
Let's see if this guy wants to speak now.
All right.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer, how you doing?
Hey, how are you, Johnny?
Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Joe, how are you, buddy?
All right, Johnny Ohio is another longtime caller. He's a hair loss sufferer who, again, had a bad hair transplant. And I guess you're calling to warn Gerry.
Oh, well, yeah. You really want to do your due diligence, Gerry, and welcome to the United States and to the Bald Truth.
Thank you. Can I ask you what was your experience? What happened to you?
Well, back in the early 90s, I was in my late 20s and noticed I was losing my hair because everybody was telling me I was losing my hair. So I thought I would be a little proactive and I'd get a hair transplant. And I was very depressed and down. Ran across a gentleman, a doctor who was a plastic surgeon. I should say cosmetic surgeon, excuse me. He did hair transplants, and went to see him, and he told me he could fix me. And now, probably going on 18 to 20 years, he's basically ruined my life in terms of I can't go out of the house without a hat on. I'm just paranoid that someone's gonna find out. The procedures that were done in the 90s are nothing like they're being done today, the gold standard. And I was fortunate that I found this program, and I feel that I've made a good friend in Spencer Kobren and Joe and others.
Thanks, Johnny.
Did your experience? Did you use that kind of plug technique? Was that what happened to you?
Well, at that time they were selling, and I'm sure Spencer can elaborate even better. They were called mini and micrographs.
Yeah.
And they were supposedly at that time, they were. If you talk to the doctors, they were undetectable. I'm sure there's other chain hair transplant clinics that were espousing the same thing.
Well, let me interrupt you for a second, John.
Sure.
One thing I think Gerry needs to know, and I was explaining to this to Gerry outside, he's speaking to a lot of different doctors. You are meeting guys who some of them are really doing state-of-the-art work. Some of them claim to do state-of-the-art work. Some of them just have the best press, especially the guys in the UK that you may be speaking with. A lot of guys are still doing mini and micrographs. They're not doing pure follicular unit transplantation. The grafts are very small, but they're being cut to size. And what happens is when the grafts are cut to size, there is a very strong possibility that unless they're very dense packed, unless you have a lot of hair, it could be relatively noticeable to most people. Now, the transplant may look like a good transplant, but it's going to look like a transplant. And that's the thing. So when you came on earlier and you said, you know what, if you really scrutinize somebody, you can probably tell if they had a transplant.
Mm.
a true state-of-the-art transplant, it's going to be very, very, very difficult, even upon close inspection. So a lot of the guys that you may be speaking with during this journey are going to be selling you, their PR. They're going to be selling you a bill of goods. They get a lot of good press, whether it's here in the U.S. or whether it's in the U.K., but they're not doing truly state-of-the-art hair transplantation. That's why I'm a little concerned about you going and getting something done, because I still think that you're still so green, you're still so new to this, that I don't want you just to film this movie and then at the end of the movie, because you're doing this, decide to have surgery, because it's surgery. It's real surgery, and if there's any issues, you're screwed.
That's right. Yeah, it's not life threatening. So
Gerry,
it's voluntary.
It's not, Gerry.
Yes,
I strongly have to cast against you on what you just said. I'm sorry.
Gerry, if you're right, it's not something. I don't know. I have never heard anyone that's been to the point of where they can't function in life in terms of any of their faculties have been interrupted. But I would say this, Gerry: once you're cut, you're cut. There's no going back. There's no turning back. If you are deciding to enhance, your hair to make it look more like it was years ago, I would strongly advise you to look at the physicians on the Bald Truth that Spencer has. These physicians are outstanding. In terms of being able to detect a hair transplant, the physicians that Spencer has on his site and the American Hair Loss site, these are the best in the world.
Well, look, I appreciate that, but I'm not here to sell surgery.
I
think it's important that Gerry knows, and everyone, in the for this movie, they know that members that are accepted into my organization, into the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons, they pay an annual screening fee. We've had over 700 applicants in the last 11 years. They all have checks in hand. I've accepted less than 60. And it's a decent amount of money. Let me tell you, Gerry, I would love to take everybody's money, but I can't. The sad thing is there are people like Johnny walking around and people like Joe and other people who will be calling in tonight, I'm sure, who, they thought they did their due diligence. They thought that they went to the right guy, and their lives have been destroyed. Even, tomorrow morning, there are guys that have, saved their money, or they financed a hair transplant, and they're going to sit in a chair tomorrow, and they didn't do their research. They saw an ad for a large chain clinic, or they saw something on the internet, and they think they're going to change their lives for the better, but they don't realize that what they're walking into is going to really adversely affect their lives.
Well, may I ask this gentleman the extent of the damage that was done to his scalp? What do you look like now?
Well, Gerry, there's a lot of pitting and like a cornrow effect in my crown area, in my mid-scalp area. Because of further hair loss as I got older, it's exposed it. Spencer could possibly explain those two type of deformities that were caused by the surgeon that performed it.
Let me tell you something interesting. Actually, Gerry went to see Dr. Haber in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And I guess Dr. Haber is probably going to be possibly in this film.
Oh, yes.
And I'm glad that they found somebody, and I don't know if they found him through the American Hair Loss Association or the IHRS, but they found somebody good, someone out there that's going to tell him the truth and what can be accomplished. And is it Dr. Haber that told you that there are guys out there that would pay him to look like you, to have that type of...
No, it wasn't Dr. Haber. It was another gentleman who's also a leader in his field in the UK.
Okay.
And he said that if a bald man came in and I did a job on him that gave him as much hair as I have, the man would walk out delighted.
Yes.
So he was trying to explain to me that it's all about scale.
It's relative, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Dr. Haber is one of the best in the business. I mean, he is. I've consulted with him in the past. He's a conservative compared to some of the other surgeons in terms of what size sessions he does, but he does outstanding work. He's someone that if he's done a hair transplant, I guarantee, Gerry, you would never know it. he's that good.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. We're going to take a quick break. Give Gerry a break here, and let me give out the phone number. I want to make sure that we have low bandwidth tonight, so it's possible I have to reset my phones because I'm noticing that my first 2 lines are going on and off, but the rest are not, and that's usually an issue with the bandwidth. So I want to fix that. Let me give out the phone number: 888-659-3727. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren here with a very, very special guest, a guy that is really, taking he's a green guy as far as the hair loss industry is concerned. He's trying to figure out whether or not he's going to do something about his hair loss. His name is Gerry Anderson. He's a broadcaster from the BBC, and I really hope that this experience is going to help him make the smart decision. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us.
The man who's helping to make hair loss history.
They wish to cure us, but I say we are the cure.
It's Spencer David Kobren.
Hey guys, welcome back. 888-659-3727, live from Los Angeles. Coast to coast and worldwide, you are listening to and watching The Bald Truth, self-help radio for guys. And I guess girls should get it. Sadly, 2/3 of us by the age of 35 will suffer with some degree of hair loss. Excuse me, 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. How crazy is that? This is a silent epidemic of biblical proportions, and we're scared S-less to talk about it. Society doesn't allow us to talk about hair loss. And that's what this broadcast is for. Listen, if you're not losing your hair, if you're just a little worried about it, that you may lose your hair, just turn this off. Turn your station, stop listening to iTunes or wherever you're listening to the show or watching the program. Go out and enjoy your life. I'm telling you. Come back to us when you really start to notice something, and we'll be here. But, we have so many guys that contact us, call the program, and they're so fearful of what might happen because they see their brothers dealing with hair loss or their fathers who dealt with hair loss at a young age, and they're not even suffering with hair loss yet, but it's already starting to consume their lives. So I want you guys to just take a break, go out, have a drink, and just turn the channel and not watch or listen to the show. But if you are dealing with hair loss, this is your safe place. Give us a call if you have any questions, concerns. If you're new to the show, real quickly, I'm a consumer advocate for men and women suffering with hair loss, founder of the American Hair Loss Association, author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss, and a hair loss sufferer myself, a guy who's been dealing with hair loss for over 20 years, a guy who has been lucky enough to make the right moves and use FDA-approved medication to stop or slow down considerably the progression of my hair loss. Not everyone's that lucky because this industry is such a cesspool. It's a $3.5 billion a year industry in this country, in North America. And 99% of products don't work. They're complete bullshit. Will not help you in any way, shape, or form. What other industry can you think of that's like that? Well, maybe the weight loss industry. But anyway, you're looking at the guy on my left. I know this is a different camera angle for the guys that are watching the show. It's usually just me in the studio. But we have a guy, a very special guest. Gerry Anderson is with us. He is a BBC broadcaster. He does television. He does radio. He's also a musician. And he's a guy that's part of a BBC documentary, basically following him on his journey through this crazy industry, trying to figure out whether or not he's going to do something about his hair loss. And I got to tell you, again, I'm not going to ask how old you are because that would be rude, but you can tell me if you want to tell me. But you don't have to.
Do you notice the silence?
Yes, I do. But I will say that you're probably a little older than I am. Is that fair to say? A few years, maybe?
I hope to phone a friend.
Okay. But you look pretty good. I will tell you. You definitely are a guy that had his hair for a lot of his youth.
Yeah.
And, so you're pretty fortunate. It might be a little easier for you at this stage in your life. I don't know, now that, you're not 21 anymore.
No. Well, you see, I lost my hair very, very, very gradually. I mean, right up until Oh, about 10 years ago, it probably wouldn't have been a problem at all, really, for anybody. I mean, nobody would have looked at me and said, oh, look, he's losing his hair very badly. But then, over the last 10 years, it gets a wee bit accelerated a little, but it never really bothered me so much. To be honest, it never really bothered me.
Now, are you a married man?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what does your wife think?
Oh, no, she doesn't. I don't think we've ever discussed it, to be honest.
Now, isn't that interesting? I find that, and I think it's because you're from the UK. I'm telling you, because American guys break down and talk about this with their wives.
No, but I have to say, and I have to be totally honest with you, I understand what you're saying. You see, maybe it's something to do with, I don't suffer from that kind of British reserve. Because I'm from Ireland, we don't actually have that. I hope that's not a generalisation too far, but we tend.
You gave him a little jab, but it's okay. I wouldn't worry about it.
English people tend not to discuss their feelings, but Irish people do it all the time. Except there's some areas that Irish people don't like to talk about, but that. Baldness would not be one of them. You know,
now, what is the area that you guys don't like to talk about?
Well, they don't like to talk about drink or sex.
Okay, so
that kind of thing.
You can't talk about your penis, and you can't talk about.
It's all about that kind of Catholic upbringing.
Okay.
It's all about. We tend not to talk about things that have any kind of moral worth. You know, that kind of thing. But anything else would be okay. So it wouldn't be fair to put us in that kind of category, even though we are technically British. We're basically Irish kind of thing. You know. In our water,
right,
so to speak. So we wouldn't have that reserve. Irish people, you cannot say that Irish people are reserved, can you?
I would say no.
No.
I would say no.
not.
I've met a lot of Irish people. For some reason, here in LA, I've met more Irish people than I met when I was living in New York, and I grew up in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, I've done my share of drinking. I talk about it on the air all the time. I'm drinking right now.
Uh-huh.
And it's interesting that you're telling me you guys don't like to talk about drinking. But that is a stereotype of the Irish.
No, but they don't like to talk about drinking in the sense that they fear as if it might be a problem.
Oh, I see.
Drinking is a thing that you do.
Well, how is drinking a problem?
Well, it is a problem. It's a problem in Ireland because the alcoholism is so high.
Yeah.
But you see, people tend not to. It's a social thing.
Yes.
Anyway, but we're getting away from an entirely.
That's okay. We talk about this show is about sex, life, and hair loss. So really, it's a support group for guys dealing with hair loss. But we talk about what it's like dealing in life as a hair loss sufferer. And if that means talking about the bars, if that means talking about your life, you're a hair loss sufferer.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about.
Well, it has never really bothered me, to be honest with you. To put it in a nutshell, it has never really bothered me, to be honest.
Well, then what do you do? What the hell are you doing here? Why are you in my house?
I'm curious. I'm curious as to how it affects a lot of people. And I'm curious as to what, if I was bothered about it, what I could do. And where the science is, where people's heads are at, not a pun, where people's minds are as regards to hair loss, how they feel. I mean, I've been actually, in a way, kind of humbled to discover that, something that within me did not realize that people were taking it so seriously.
Dude, this is the house that hair loss built.
I know.
This is what I do.
I know.
Imagine, being able to make a career out of this. And it's not about selling it. I don't sell anything to anybody. It's all about talking about people's issues and their feelings and why it's really affecting their lives. It's that big. It's that big of a deal that one person can make a living just talking about it.
Yeah, and the fact that you do that and the fact that there's a need for what you do, I wouldn't have believed this like a couple of years ago. But now that I see the good work that you do, and I realize how necessary it is, whereas a year or 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said so.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. Keep saying nice things about me.
No, because the more I learn, the more I realize how important it is to people. You just can't throw it away.
Now, are you really, you're not that concerned about it, and we're going to take a call in a second, but you're not that concerned about it. Are you really going to get a hair transplant since you're not that concerned about it? Is it something that, if you can fix it, you want to do it, but you're really not that bothered by it?
Well, okay. Let's put it this way. If I looked at it from the point of view that, don't use the word hair transplant. Let's say a little rearrangement would be possibly something like that.
Yes.
Or maybe if somebody said to me, do you remember those hairs that you found in your brush 5 years ago? How would you like those to be put back? you would consider it, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm doing, because whenever we say hair transplant, we think in terms of heart transplant, liver transplant. You think in terms of surgical, which it is surgery, but you think in terms of major surgery. You think in terms of life risk. You think in terms of a big, big step. I don't think it's a huge step.
Well, and you know what? I'm going to correct you, because that is where you're wrong. It is absolutely a huge step.
I mean, see, this is why
basically what they're doing is they're cutting a piece of tissue out of the back of your scalp, suturing your head together, and then implanting those grafts back into your scalp. There's a chance of infection. There's a chance of changing the integrity of your entire scalp if it's not done right. There's a chance of nerve damage. I mean, it is surgery. I mean, and that's the thing. It's sold as a commodity. It's sold as something that is not real surgery, but it is real cosmetic surgery, just like a facelift. And anything can go wrong. So you have to go in with the attitude of, you know what? I understand what this is. You know, compared to a lot of different surgeries, it's relatively minor, and that's true. But there's still a chance of complications.
But if you do your homework and you find the right guy and you really put a lot of time into it, and you find a guy that you know is going to do the best job that is possible to be done, I think I would trust that.
Well, what happens if someone on his staff went out the night before and has a hangover, and she's the one who's implanting those grafts? I mean, and I'm just putting it out there. You have to understand that I actually some of the money that I make in my world is from hair transplantation.
Okay.
I believe in hair transplantation, but I also believe in letting people know that there's so many different variables once you decide to have a hair transplant. One is picking a great surgeon. But you have to also know who their staff is. How long has their staff been working with that particular surgeon? How many years do they have under their belt?
But you see, you're getting into a very minute area there. It's like not taking a taxi because you don't know anything about the driver. That's the same thing.
No, dude, I'm telling you, absolutely not. You know what? Hair transplant is really a team effort. And the vast majority of the surgery is actually performed by the technician, something you may not know. So every graft is cut by a technician. If for some reason that technician does not have the experience to cut that tissue well, they're going to destroy that tissue.
But if you get the right guy, if you get the right surgeon, the fellow who knows his business, the fellow who's recognized by his peers as being, one of the better guys, do you think he's going to surround himself by people he doesn't trust?
Usually not, and I agree with that. And that's why I'm able to recommend hair transplantation, but you never know. That's why you have to research both the doctor and their staff. That's all I'm saying.
But wouldn't that be so difficult? How do you research?
It's surgery. It's surgery. I mean, come on. How can that be difficult?
But that's like saying
you have to do your due diligence. You're getting your head cut open. You don't think you're going to get.
No, but that's like saying if I go into a hospital and I'm going to have a heart transplant, that's like me saying to the doctor, "Can I have a list of all the names of all the people who will be working with me? Nurses, cleaners."
Well, the truth of the matter is, you know what? It would be in a perfect world. That's what you would do. But this is it's a little easier to really get the names and the experience of the girls that are working.
Yeah, but I know where you're coming from. Obviously, you talk to people who've had nightmares and horrible.
And again, I got to put this out there that I have an organization, the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. I founded that organization. That organization puts money in my pocket. So I'm all for hair transplantation, but I will not sell a hair transplant. What I tell people is, listen, hair transplantation is your last resort. If you can deal with hair loss, like your cameraman here, shave your head, move on with your life. If you don't do well with medication, then
he's a baldy.
He's a bald guy, but he's
keeping out of it.
But he works. It works for him. He looks good. He looks youthful. I mean, it works for him, and he's happy. And that's the bottom line is. Are you comfortable in your own skin? Me, I will save every goddamn hair that I possibly can and paste it on if I have to, because I'm not comfortable with the idea. I mean, I would look like some guy from the future if I shaved my head. It's just not for me. But there are guys like your cameraman who, it works well.
Do you ever think that it might be a sign of insecurity?
It is.
On your part?
Absolutely.
Do you admit that?
100%. I got a certain reaction in my life from people my entire life. Whatever it is, I was a popular kid. I was an athlete in high school, and I just got a certain amount of attention. Once I felt that I had a chink in my armor, so to speak, and I was losing that, and people started to notice it. It really affected me. And I decided to do whatever I could to kind of hold on to what I have. And in my journey, I realized that the vast majority of the industry is just, it's bullshit. They're out there trying to rip people off. So I kind of turned my Achilles heel into, my career.
Yeah.
And I just let people know that, look, I'm with you. I'm insecure about it just like you are. And that's why we have all our lines lit right now. So let's take a phone call.
Sure.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer.
Hey, who's this?
Tony from Philly.
Tony from Philly. How are you, man?
Doing pretty good.
I only hear you in one of my one of my channels, so I don't know if it's you or if it's me. But go ahead.
Can you hear me good now?
I hear you, but only one headset. But go ahead, on my right side. So what's up?
One of the things I wanted to mention, I guess when you guys were talking about kind of comparing hair transplants to like heart surgery, and probably from listening to the show and some of my experience with researching it is a couple things are the artistry that goes behind the actual hair transplant, and then the fact that most people have to put a tremendous amount of cash out of their pocket to get it done. I think those are two things that separate it from just your average surgery.
I think that's a great point. I mean, in most cases, insurance is going to cover, other types of medical procedures. Sadly, with cosmetic surgery, and this, hair transplantation is actually the most expensive form of cosmetic surgery. And I don't know if you realize that, Gerry.
I do actually, yeah.
But I mean,
horrendously expensive.
I mean, for $20,000, I mean, a woman can get her entire body redone.
Yeah.
But that might get you a decent hair transplant.
It might be enough to get a decent hair transplant
if you're lucky. So, I mean, Tony, I think that's a great point.
Yeah, or you can get scarred for life.
Say that again?
Then, you can get a good hair transplant, or you could be, scarred for life if you're not careful.
That's correct. That's correct. And you're going through your own journey, if I remember. You called a couple of times, and you're still trying to figure out whether or not you can have something done.
Right. And then, I really had a question, but then when you guys were talking about that kind of just popped up. I was like, so much more than just a doctor going through medical school and coming out and saying, bang, I'm a hair surgeon.
Well, I think what a lot of people don't realize is that any doctor, any MD or DO can actually be a hair transplant surgeon. They can hang up a shingle and say they are a hair transplant specialist. They don't need to be a surgeon. They don't need to actually have any real training to say that they're an expert in surgical hair restoration. There are, and this, sounds like it might be, hyperbole, but the truth is there are weekend courses, for doctors to learn how to do a hair transplant. And they get these these certificates from these courses that they hang on their wall. So when patients walk into their door, they're like, hey, it looks like this guy's certified. And the truth of the matter is that's not the case. It's a very, very difficult situation for people to really do their due diligence. And listen, I'm giving Gerry a little shit here, but the truth is, I think he understands it. I think he understands that it's not as easy as it looks.
No, well, yeah, I do understand that. Yeah. What about this gentleman? Has he had any experience? You say he's considering getting something done. What's this gentleman's name? Sorry, Spencer.
He's Tony from Philly.
Tony, are you considering getting something done?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been suffering with hair loss since I was 18. It caused me to miss family functions, friends' weddings, things I would just have loved to have been at.
You avoided social occasions because of your hair loss. Was that it?
Yes, absolutely.
Dear, yeah.
And, it pretty much turned me into somewhat of a social recluse, but I still, maintain a regular job. And I try to function as best as I can. And I guess it happened to me in the early 90s when there wasn't much of a solution for hair loss. Like, I kind of, as Spencer alludes to a lot, I kind of saw the industry for what it was early, and I just gave up on it. I didn't even believe in Propecia when it came out. But recently, with all the technology technology upgrades for transplantation, I've become more interested in it, and I've seen some hope, and I want to do something about it.
Was Propecia no good for you? Had your hair loss advanced so far that there was nothing much you could do with Propecia?
I couldn't do anything with Propecia. I'm between a 5 and a 6 on the Norwood scale. I don't believe that would do anything
Yeah.
Well, man, we're for some reason we're losing your signal a little bit.
Yeah, it's going in and out there.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my board or what, but I may have to check that. But Tony, did you have a question?
I did, Spencer. My question was during his during the movie that they're creating, are they going to look into also like cell-based regeneration or cell-based hair transplantations?
Yes.
Stuff like.
Yes, we're looking into stem cell research, all kinds of stuff like that. Not on any deep scientific level, but we're just across some of the work that's been done, and to give people who are watching who don't know anything about this, give them an idea of what kind of range of treatments are available and how they affect people and how if they look as if they're going to be successful. I mean, I think, Spencer, people are on the verge of some great breakthroughs.
Well, absolutely. There are a couple of companies out there that are really, trying to get the cellular transplant thing done. And the issue is who's going to get there first. Right now, they're jockeying for position. There's companies like Replicell, which used to be Tricoscience. There's Adiron's research that are doing work with cell-based research. And it's exciting stuff, but we still don't know if it's going to be 2 years away, 5 years away, and everyone is really hyper excited about this happening.
That's right.
I tell people, listen, it's happening. It's definitely happening, but you have to figure out a way to get comfortable in your own skin now.
Yeah.
And use what we have today to try to get yourself there. So whether it's surgical intervention, whether it's getting on finasteride or Propecia early on in the hair loss process. And, there's guys out there that are wearing hair systems and they're comfortable with it. That's not a bad choice if you are in a situation that, okay, maybe you have a wife and she's cool with it and you don't have to worry about certain social situations where you may be outed, and there are options out there to live your life and feel comfortable in your own skin right now. Don't wait. And Tony, I think you're a guy, and you just admitted it, that you kind of became a recluse because of your hair loss. And there's a lot of guys just like you that are kind of waiting on life. You know what? I'm telling you, man, I'm 46 years old. Life goes by quickly. Before I know it, I'll be 50. I want to live every day that I can, and that's why I do this program, to let you guys know that there is life after hair loss. You have to figure out a way to get comfortable in your own skin and not necessarily wait for that cure. I believe it's going to happen.
What are you like at the moment? How do you feel? Do you feel depressed or anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. Like, when I can look great, I can feel great about my body and my clothes. But when I look at my head and I have to shave my head bald, I feel like, I just feel like, I feel like I'm almost sick, but I'm not sick. I feel like I look.
You just don't like yourself.
Yeah, it's about low self-esteem. It's hard to look. It's hard to feel good about yourself. I know there's people out there that can do it. When you're shaving yourself, your head bald, like you're going into, to be executed, or like as if you, I don't mean to be insensitive, but if you had, chemotherapy, like that's kind of how you feel.
Yeah.
At least that's how I feel when I shave my head bald.
Dude, I would look like, I'm telling you, Kane from Kung Fu. I would be this guy from the future. I'd have to get one of these big collars, these big futuristic collars to walk around with, because it would not suit me. But I'm looking at a guy right now, I'm looking right in his camera, who looks great with a shaved head. He's one of the few lucky ones that, he's not really affected by hair loss because he can shave his head.
I've met a couple of women who have had alopecia and who are totally bald, and they were very, very lucky in that they had the correct shaped skull.
Right.
Is the shape of your skull that bothers you? Is that what it is?
No, I mean, I have a somewhat of a big head, but it's just, Spencer will say often, hair frames your face.
Yes, yeah.
When I have, I feel more comfortable. I feel like myself. I was born with hair. You know what I mean? There's something inside you that you just don't feel like yourself. You lose it.
Well, excuse me, I almost choked to death, guys. It's different. We talk about cosmetic surgery. If a woman gets a breast augmentation, they're augmenting their appearance. We are losing something that we had all of our lives. as our hair starts to recede, as our hairline erodes, so does our self-esteem. And I don't care, guys don't have the balls to say it. I do. That's why I do what I do. It really screwed me up when I was 21 years old, and I thought that, this was it. I'm going to lose my hair. I had nowhere to turn. I didn't know what to do. And I'm extremely fortunate, but I made the right decisions at the right time. Most guys don't do it. They don't have the wherewithal to step back and say, you know what, something's wrong here. I shouldn't have surgery, or I shouldn't be, put a hairpiece on when I have a full head of hair, because that's going to ruin your hair. The guys, they're just going to shave your natural hair off, which is what the hair club wanted to do to me. And I was very, very fortunate. Sadly, there wasn't any information out there. And before we put this show on the air, and before, I wrote The Bald Truth, and again, I'm going to pat myself on the back because it's true, there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And now there's some other decent resources out there, but the truth is, you go to any resource, you're going to see, it's going to look like a Turkish bazaar, banner ads and all kinds of sales stuff on their site. And, we don't do that. We want people just to know that, what, there's life after hair loss, there's real help out there, but you can be like this cameraman. And a guy, I'm sorry, what's your name, man? Seamus. I mean, you could be like Seamus, shave your head, move on with your life, and I think that's probably the best way to live. I can't do it. I'm not equipped to do it. And neither are you, Tony, obviously.
That's true. I had one question that is kind of like, I'm interested if he's going to...
Tony, your phone is so effed up. I mean, I can hardly hear you. But go ahead. I have you all the way potted up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just was curious if you had an appointment to talk with Fallica.
Say that again?
I was wondering if part of his documentary was going to actually talk with Fallica.
Actually, yes. I don't know if I can talk about that, but I know that you guys were in Philadelphia recently speaking.
Yes.
Speaking with Dr. Costaralis, correct?
Yes, indeed, yeah. But, not so much down that road, but the indication was that there's a breakthrough around the corner. That's all I can say.
Well, I will tell you that Costaralis keeps things very close to his vest. He has, stockholders that really don't want things put out there. We have, baldtruthtalk.com, where companies like Replicel and Histogen are willing to share their information with our users. Fallica won't do it.
He's a nice man, but you could tell, and he didn't want to talk too much about it, but you could tell by the glint in his eye that he's happy about it.
Yes, he certainly is. Listen, Tony, man, thanks for the call. We're going to take another phone call, all right?
Thanks a lot, Spencer.
All right, good luck.
Good luck.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer, it's Andrew.
Andrew, what's happening, man? How are you? We just lost him. By the way, call back Andrew or Skype back. Andrew actually is the founder of a online network called the Guys from Queens Network. They actually syndicate our broadcast across the internet through iTunes and Stitcher Radio and all the major outlets for internet broadcasting. Andrew's a guy, if you saw him, he's 27 years old. He has a beautiful head of hair, but he's a freak. He is he's so obsessed about the possibility of losing his hair.
So it hasn't happened yet?
It hasn't happened yet, but since he's gotten involved with the program, I mean, he got involved because he became a fan of the show.
You've made him paranoid.
And then, now he's paranoid. It's unbelievable. Let's see if this is him. Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, Spencer, it's Andrew.
Hey, Andrew. So I was talking shit about you just now.
I heard you call me a freak.
I mean, you're just paranoid about your hair loss. You have an incredible head of hair, and you're so obsessed with it.
Oh, every day. I've lost my mind, really, since the show we started working together.
Well, what's going on now? I mean, this is actually a very funny story. This guy contacts me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, puts his Skype on to show me his hairline, just for me to check it out.
You're so worried about that your hair might fall out.
Oh, every day I think about it. And now I'm doing something different with my hair now, and I've put my hair back a little rather than having it up. And I could see, it's a little farther back than it was a couple of years ago. And like I said, a point that I sometimes don't want to go out because I notice that it's farther back.
Oh, Jesus, dude! That's why I tell these guys to stop watching or listening to the show. You watch the show. Stop watching the show. Just stop. You don't need to watch the program.
I'll have Suncast watch.
How far has your hair gone back? Like a millimeter?
Like on the forums, like there's a whole thing about how they call me an ass because there's nothing wrong with my hair. They say my hair is like a mop.
Right.
So to most people, they don't notice it, but I notice it because from 21 to 27, it's gone back a little bit.
You know what's funny about Gerry? Gerry he's a really cool guy. He's a very accomplished guy in the UK, and I didn't know much about him until I did a little of my own research. And he's a Sony award-winning radio and television broadcaster. And honestly, I don't know what the hell that means, but obviously it's something good.
It's the radio Oscar.
It's a radio Oscar in Britain. Yeah. That's amazing. So, but this guy is, he's.
I'm so shy. You squeezed that out of me.
Oh, come on. Come on now. So that's amazing. So first of all, let's talk about that for a second. I'm curious because I had no idea what the hell that was. Well, that's my ignorance.
No, I don't like to talk about it really. It's just a very prestigious award, and people are lucky if they win it.
He doesn't like to talk about it. It's just a very prestigious award. Yeah.
I'm also a member of the Sony Radio Academy Hall of Fame.
That's amazing. Listen to this guy's pipes. Andrew, can you hear this guy? Can you give this guy?
I'm listening.
Can you give this guy? Can you give this guy a show on the network?
Oh my God, I would love to have.
Let him make some real money.
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Are you ready
for real money?
Are you ready for real money and real interest? Because we know that real radio, sadly, doesn't make real money. That's just the way that it is, right, Andrew?
Yeah, in most cases.
Maybe not in his case because he won these awards.
I haven't seen a photograph of him, so I can't talk about his hair. But you say he's unimpaired.
The guy he's a beautiful kid. He's like 27 years old. He looks like a movie star. The guy's hair is like that's the way my hair used to be, and that's why I'm so upset.
Pretty much, I wasn't as paranoid about it until a couple of years ago. I had a back injury, and my doctor put me on a nerve medication, and I guess I could say the name, right, Spence?
Yeah, go ahead.
My doctor put me on something called Neurontin, and I started noticing that there was a lot of, when I would take a shower, handfuls of hair was just falling out. So I did research. I called my doctor. My doctor said that's not a side effect of it, and I found it on my own that 1 in every 100 people can have potential hair loss, some shedding, but as soon as you get off the medication, it stops. So I got off the medication, and as a precaution, I went on Propecia for about a month, and then I noticed my hair wasn't falling out as much, so I just totally stopped both. But that was my first.
Andrew, you got this poor guy. You got this poor guy falling asleep here.
I'm telling a story. You asked me to tell a story.
Tell him a story that's interesting. Get him excited about something. It's a hair loss show for crying out loud. He's thinking, this guy's thinking to himself, what the fuck am I doing here? That's what he's thinking.
I don't know what he's doing there. He has an award.
I'm not thinking that.
For broadcasting.
I'm not thinking that. No.
This guy has a real award. I just write mine on paper and I print it out.
Listen, you are. What was the magazine you were on? Stepping Out magazine. You're the king of new media.
Stepping Out magazine.
That's a big thing, dude. So you should enjoy that.
I am enjoying it. I just want to make sure my hair doesn't fall out.
All right. Listen, we're going to take some calls.
But,
we're going to take some calls from guys that actually need help. Yeah, go ahead.
No, but a lot of the guys, I've noticed on your forum and in the chat room, they do want to do a procedure. They are concerned about the hair loss, but they're too scared to get a transplant. And you've said many people are not candidates, but in the next couple of years, hopefully Repicel will be something that is an option for people.
Well, yes, and I definitely think that cell-based therapies are going to be really it's the future of this industry.
Don't you think that if they get to the stage whereby they're going to be able to transplant hair from perhaps a relative, that's the game is over? That's it.
I mean that would be great, but the truth of the matter is, what happens is that relative eventually becomes a hair loss sufferer, and that hair is not DHT resistant. So what you really want to do is, and that's a very interesting, school of thought that a lot of people ask us about. But what you really want to do is you really want to be able to have a unlimited supply of your own DHT resistant hair.
Okay.
If you can get that done, that is the holy grail, and that's what these guys are working on. Listen, I'm going to take another phone call, and then we're going to take a break. And I don't know if Gerry can hang out much longer because it's late here. Actually, it's not that late here, but it's a long show. It's a long show. Listen, man, thanks for the call.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Right, take it
Bye.
easy. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hey, Spencer, it's Joe. How are you?
Joe from Hassan and Wong. How are you, man? Now, this is Joe Tillman is the poster child for hair transplantation. This guy, how many transplants have you had, Joe?
With Dr. Wong, I've had 4, and then he was repairing the 2 previous bad procedures I had from the early 90s with Dr. Norris.
Well, the reason, you can see him right here, by the way, on the screen. But Joe is a guy that has really, I think, changed the way people think of hair transplants online. He puts his entire story out there on baldtruthtalk.com and on other message forums over the years. And he's a guy that unfortunately had a bad experience initially and then got repaired. And his entire life has changed. He's married now. He's making some coin, right, Joe?
I do okay.
You do all right.
I do all right, yeah.
So why don't you tell Gerry about your experience, because this guy's thinking about getting a hair transplant. Do you think he should get a hair transplant at this stage of his life?
I think anyone should get, if they've done their research and they know what they're getting into and their expectations are realistic, there's no age, there's no time in life where it shouldn't happen.
I'm not saying he's old. He's a young guy. So don't get me wrong. I don't want to insult the guy.
I'm saying barring anyone that's, far too young, I mean, any time during anyone's life is fine. And I see this good-looking gentleman sitting next to you, and I don't think I see any sort of need for hair restoration on this fine fellow. But, if there's something that he needs and he knows what he's getting into, then absolutely, sure.
Well, you're right, I'm not too bad, but there's room for improvement. That's basically what you're saying, really, because not what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that there are people there who, if they had a hair transplant, it would mean so much a successful hair transplant. It would turn their lives around. It would make them better people.
Well, tell them about your experience, Joe.
Well, that's an interesting statement. The way that it's affected me, it was an extremely negative experience the first time around, and I went through all of my 20s into my early 30s looking like a circus act, and Spencer knows the story. A lot of other people do. Where,
well, I'm trying to figure out what's changed.
Me too. I'm still
how cruel Spencer can be.
I haven't figured that one out yet, but
Joe actually has one of the best transplants in the business.
Well, it's because 2 factors. One, because of my unusual characteristics. I've mentioned it before. I'll mention it again. Dr. Wong says I'm a mutant. Whether that's good or not.
You're a mutant?
A mutant, simply because my donor laxity returns with each subsequent procedure. I've already had 9,400 grafts with 4 procedures with Dr. Wong on top of the 2 I've had
9,400?
beforehand. Yeah.
10,000?
Now, why don't you tell tell Gerry how much that would cost in the real world?
I know.
Gerry, it costs too damn much.
I've seen quotes whereby people could charge as much as $5-6 each.
Well, I know guys that charge $9 a graft.
Yeah,
he's got 10,000 done.
That's right.
Around $5 a graft, $4 or $5 a graft is the average for the quote unquote top clinics. You will have a clinics that do charge close to double that, but if their local market bears it, then more power to them.
You're talking about $50,000 that you need to find. I think it's just as well.
It is well, and that's the thing. It's a luxury item, right? I mean, it's not like it's a necessity that people have to have, and if people want it, then
But Joe, it's interesting that you say that, because there's a lot of guys that really believe that they need to have this, so they will hawk, whatever they hawk. They would hawk whatever they can. They'll sell their cars. They'll sell their homes. They'll finance the hell out of their lives just to get a hair transplant.
I've been the one telling you for years. Come hell or high water, people will find the money to get a hair transplant.
That's true. I've heard stories from people have told me, eminent surgeons have told me that they're amazed at some of the people who walk in their door. People with bags of money, and people who have bags of money, and if they spent that money, they wouldn't have any money at all left. It's the only thing that's important to them. They'd literally spend every penny they had to get a hair transplant. Yes.
And I think that there's something really wrong with that.
I think so too,
I'm in the industry, and I talk to guys all the time that say, the craziest things that they're going to do to get their hair back, or the craziest things that they're going to do, aside from the money aspect, but all these other things that they want to do to get their money back, to get their hair back. And I have to stop them and say, you know what? I mean, even guys that have already started the procedure, they've already had 1, 2, 3 procedures, and they keep going. And I've had to tell guys, hey, you know what? You need to stop.
Well, I mean, we talk about
you're never going to reach what you want.
We talk about this in the field all the time. There's hair greed. Once you get some hair back, and you're like, if it works out for you, you're like, well, you know what? I want some more.
It's like plastic surgery. You get a little rhinoplasty, you get your nose done, you say, okay, these lips could be better, and then it kicks off from there, doesn't it?
That's right.
The Michael Jackson syndrome does
exactly.
But Gerry, let me ask you. I mean, okay, you've done the show for it's an hour and 17 minutes. You're talking to these guys. You're learning about hair transplantation. We spoke outside in my backyard a little bit about my experience and about the industry itself. I mean, is this something that you would still consider? And again, like I say, I am for surgical hair restoration.
Mm-hmm.
I think it can really be life-changing. But in a position that you're in, the fact that you've had tremendous success in your life, you still look great, and you still have a lot of hair on your head. I mean, do you really think that it will improve your life to the point where you're willing to have the surgery?
The jury's out, and I'm a one-man jury. I'm going to gather the evidence, and at the end of it, I'll say to myself, I wonder, should I do this? Maybe I'll discover that if I was doing it, I'd be doing it for the wrong reasons. And maybe at the end of it, I might say to myself, why not?
Well, if you do have it, can I exploit it and do live surgery?
Why not?
Okay, well, we'll do that on the air.
Okay. You know what, Gerry? If I could interject here, I'm looking at some images of you online.
Yes.
That I've found, and Spencer can confirm this for me because he's sitting next to you. But you look like a diffused thinner.
A what?
A diffused thinner.
You insulted the poor man.
No, it's great. Did he say a diffused thinner?
A diffused thinner. Well, he actually looks like, and I haven't really checked him out that closely.
What does that mean?
I think it's rude.
No,
even though when we're outside, this guy's staring at my comb over like it was like a rat's nest on my head. But I would not look up at him because I know how uncomfortable it is.
No, don't. What is it? What is a diffused thinner?
Well, basically, I'll let you explain it.
No, I'm not insulted. No, but I don't understand what it is. Well, I'll be insulted maybe when I find out, but maybe I won't be. What is a diffused thinner?
A diffused thinner, Gerry, is where you don't have an actual pattern of actual loss. It's more of an evenly distributed thinning throughout the entire top of your scalp, or at least the front half, from what I can see in these photos.
Take a look at most women who are dealing with androgenetic alopecia. They're diffused thinners. They have hair loss all over their entire scalp.
Yeah,
I think I like the sound.
In other words, Gerry, it looks like you're not actually balding anywhere. It's just your density is being reduced with time.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Yeah.
But I will check out his donor supply for you, Joe, and let you know whether or not I think he's a candidate for surgery.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that if he does decide to go forward with this, if he's looking for thickening of the front, if anyone tells you that you don't have to worry about shock loss, which is a really important thing that you need to understand.
I just told him about that. He's like, what the hell is shock loss? He still doesn't know what shock loss is.
All right, we got our work cut out for us. He needs to understand what it is. He needs to learn about it, and if he's talking to any clinics that tell him that they don't need to worry about it, he needs to turn around and walk away. That's my advice for Gerry.
Let me just get clear about shock loss. In other words, if you get augmentation, say in the front, when you get that done, the hair that you have there already may fall out.
That's correct.
I didn't know that.
Well, there's two forms of shock loss, Gerry. There's permanent and there's temporary. The temporary is unpredictable, no matter what a clinic may do to prepare the recipient area beforehand. It can still happen, and we think it's just the interruption of blood flow, the general trauma to the scalp that causes this. It does come back generally about the same time that grafts start to regrow, between 3 to 5 months. The permanent shock loss is usually caused from the damage that's caused from not being able to properly get in between the existing hairs that you have, matching the angle and direction, therefore causing transection, which kills the hair permanently, and you have a net loss as opposed to a net gain.
I actually think you just put the guy to sleep, Joe.
No, it's interesting. The interesting thing about that, see, I find that interesting because I suppose that I'm not looking at it. Some of the things I hear today and some of the things I've heard over this past while back when I've been working on this, there's in some cases there's a desperation. I mean, it really is desperation. See, I don't feel that. And I would imagine, I would look upon this, there's a word that we use in the UK, when you've got a car, you get it, after you have it for 3 or 4 years, you have to have what is called an MOT, right? It's kind of like a health check, and you get it done. I just feel it's like that. But the more I talk to people, people don't look at it like that at all. It's not just a thing that could improve you. It's a thing that has to be done.
It's a thing that is for some people, it's such a life-altering situation. You know, if they can figure out a way to get this back, to somehow get what they lost back, or even if it takes them 2 or 3 years or 4 years and tens of thousands of dollars, they're willing to do it.
Prepared to kill their grannies.
It's sad, but it's true. There's guys out there that will finance refinance their homes. They will take money out of their kids' college funds to finance a hair transplant because it affects their lives to such a degree. There's also guys that are spending, $20,000, $30,000 a year on hair pieces, trying to make themselves look as good as they possibly can. Look at Burt Reynolds.
Not so long ago, word leaked out that they were doing some kind of advanced trials in Europe, and there's practically a stampede. They had to beat people off with sticks, men who wanted to please, work on me, experiment on me.
You have no idea. I am the clearinghouse for all of that stuff. I mean,
really?
Yeah, and people from all over the world contact us through the American Hair Loss Association or through the Bald Truth. And I mean, we literally, and this is, again, we're not making use of hyperbole, receive thousands of requests for information every month about clinical trials, about whatever is going on in the world of hair loss. That's how desperate people are. So it's a very, very real situation. And you see these guys who are, we have a live chat room here. Guys, they're putting the cameras on, they're just hanging out. Most of these guys have hair.
I see that, yeah. I see that.
They have hair. They're nut jobs.
Or maybe they're
just like me.
Well, hello, nut jobs. No, but maybe there are people who have detected a little hair loss and
yes,
they can't handle it, and it may not be obvious to us looking at the photograph, maybe that angle, but
that's true. But listen, guys, we're going to I'm going to let Gerry go. He's been kind enough to hang out for an hour and 24 minutes of this broadcast.
I've enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you.
I've enjoyed it from the point of view that I'm learning stuff all the time.
Well, I enjoyed having you on, and I really hope that, when you go through this journey, that you continue to stay, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. You can even call the show from wherever you are in this country.
Get the old Skype going.
That's right. We can do Skype, whatever you need to do. Before you make that decision to go under the knife, I really want you to call me personally, because I will tell you whether I think it's a good idea or not.
If you don't mind, I'll tell you one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you again about it, yeah.
Absolutely.
When after a little while down the road.
Guys, listen, we're going to take a quick break. I want to thank Gerry Anderson and the crew from the BBC for coming in and shooting the program. And
thank you for having us, Spencer.
Oh, listen.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And I really hope that you guys get what you need. And just do a good job. Get good information out to people, because they really need it.
Yeah, well,
they really need good information.
That's our goal.
Come on up to Vancouver. We'll make sure you get the proper information.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break.
Spencer is a great resource for you as well. You picked the best place to go to get the information for your documentary.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Joe. I appreciate that. Phone number 888-659-3727. We're going to take a quick break. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening and watching The Bald Truth. We'll be right back after these messages. Stay with us.
Hey, the Red Rocker Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony. You're listening to the baldest on the planet, Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth. Woo!
You say you haven't been rocked in a long, long time. Oh, I'm good at rocking this so hard.
guys, welcome back. Sorry about the long break. These guys had to get out of here, so I had to let them out. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. I got to tell you, I mean, I love the fact that these guys are coming here to do this documentary. But, the truth of the matter is, it's so, it's frustrating sometimes when I realize how little these guys actually know. And they're here to present information to the world. So I try to get them the best information possible. But I don't know if they're going to fucking listen to me or not. I have no idea. I hope so. I really do. And you know what? Jerry's a good-looking guy. He's a good-looking older guy. I mean, he's gonna hear this. He's gonna be pissed off. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think that he needs anything done. He definitely has significant hair loss, but he also has a good hairline. So at his stage in life, the fact that he is, so well known in the UK, and I'm almost embarrassed that I had no idea who the hell he was. But he had no idea who I was until, I don't know. Anyway, they got me a bottle of Jameson's, and I'm drinking wine, and I ended up drinking alone tonight on the air. I don't know. What am I going to do? So how do you like the shot? I did my best. I didn't want to set up, I couldn't set up a 2-camera shot. And I wanted to get this guy into the video, even though it wasn't necessary because they had their own cameras here. But I wanted to, let you guys kind of, in on it, see what was going on. But it's a little voyeuristic, I think. You kind of see what the studio really looks like. You see the lights and stuff like that. What do you guys think? Let me know. 888-659-3727. Maybe I'll change the angle of the cameras. And I guess I can do a 2-camera shoot, but I would have to, install this card into my Mac. And I do have the cameras, but it's just a real pain in the ass. I thought Mike from Hassan Wong was going to be here a couple of weeks ago, but he didn't show up. I would have had him on. Anyway, let me pot up Joe, and I think Johnny's still on the line. Hey, guys.
Hey, man.
Hey.
So
how'd you guys like that?
I have a question. I really had a close.
Well, first of all, let Johnny speak because he's going to compliment me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you did an outstanding job with the interview. You were worried about camera angles and all that. It was perfect.
But how was the hair? That's all I want to know.
Oh man, the hair, the sculpture is kick-ass, let me tell you.
Let me tell you, this guy was staring hard. We're outside in my backyard, and he's like, is that a transplant? Is that a wig? I mean, why do you have so much hair? You're the hair loss guy. And I actually had to scrape off paint from my head to try to...
I've seen that.
But I did that outside as well. And the producer is a beautiful girl, young girl. I mean, I don't know how old she is. She's not quite as beautiful as Yvette, but, she's not bad.
Well, you should have seen Joe Tronic's wife in the background. What a hottie.
Dude, come on. Look at Joe. Look at the head.
I know.
Look at the head of hair in that guy.
He is the rock star of the hair transplant patients. He is the rock star. He is the gold standard.
I will tell you that, it's interesting to see how people perceive what we do here. And I'm telling you, they think I'm bizarre. There's no doubt. They walk into this house. I don't like anybody in the house, but I let these guys in the house. And they kind of see my studio with like all of my, my book covers and my articles and things that I've written over the years and like pictures of me in magazines. And it's all hair related. It's got to be bizarre.
See, I don't think so. I think that this is your passion. This is what you've undertaken to, forge through life with, and you made a career on it. And I think we're all thankful for that.
Really? You think everybody's thankful for that? You think Norman Orentreich is thankful for that, or Dr. Unger? You think Tony Mangelback? You think Tony Mangelback goes to sleep at night and says, "You know what? I'm so glad Spencer Kobren's around."
Well, the individuals that have been butchered by very, how I'm trying to be as politically correct. Surgeons that didn't have the talent or the know-how, they've ruined a lot of us out there. And people like myself and Joe from Staten Island, we're very thankful for you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really
I'm very
do.
thankful for you, Spencer.
That's nice. That's nice to hear, Joe.
Can I make one important point, please, before you go? It's very, very important.
Yes, we got 15 minutes. You can make all the points you want.
It was a great interview, but he said something that marveled me. I really wanted to aggressively interview him on this, but unfortunately, I didn't get the opportunity. He stated he interviewed Dr. Casarales. He got the impression, or Dr. Casarales said, a breakthrough is imminent, or he got that impression. What exactly did he mean by that? Do you know what he meant?
I think that, listen, I mean, he's speaking to a guy that, really keeps things close to his vest. And what do you think he's going to tell these guys who are doing a BBC documentary on hair loss? Of course he's going to say, or he's going to look like he has a gleam in his eye that something positive is happening from his lab, that they are on the verge of curing hair loss. Listen, there's going to be millions of people that watch this documentary. But the truth of the matter is, it's going to be on the air for, 10 times. I don't know how the BBC works it. But the truth of the matter is, it's not going to change shit. It really isn't. It's a very important film. And I think that they're really trying to do their best. And I think it's great that they have this guy, Gerry, who is a really well-known broadcaster in the UK, involved in this and doing what he's doing. But
well, Spencer, he's still not fully educated on hair transplants. When he said that, that he could spot a hair transplant, you spot the bad ones. The hair transplants that are with doctors that belong to the American Hair Loss Association, those doctors, they do work that is undetectable. And I get the feeling that he thinks it's still that pluggy type, the old style.
He does, and I try to explain. Listen, and obviously I told him, I said, listen, man, I'm going to, I don't mean to come off as rude, but if you say something that is not really accurate, or if you seem like you really are kind of lost about something, I'm going to, I'm going to correct you. I'm going to correct you on the air. And he was fine with that. He wants to learn. He really does, and that's part of this process.
Because I think if you look at like Joe Tillman from before he met Dr. Wong till now, if you didn't know him, you would never known he had a hair transplant.
No, actually, no.
And that's the beauty of the gold standard that these doctors are doing today.
Maybe a brow lift, but no hair transplant.
A brow lift.
This guy looks younger every picture that I see him in. It's ridiculous.
I mean, but
once you can always spot a hair transplant. Like, you're an expert in the field, that I feel I can always spot a transplant.
I think that it depends. There are times when I have been fooled. As far as like, I'm not looking closely enough. Honestly, I don't like to make people feel uncomfortable. So I'm not the type of guy that looks at people's hairlines unless it's really, really obvious. So there are probably some hair transplants that have gone past me. Never a hairpiece, though. I have to tell you, I've never been fooled by a hairpiece that I know of.
Well, in my opinion, no one could fool me, Spencer. I can always spot a hair transplant. That's my.
But this guy is. I mean, he literally is putting his head like. I mean, he could have kissed me. He's looking at my hair that closely. I'm like, dude, I'm a little uncomfortable here. I'm a little uncomfortable.
You should have kept Hunter there.
Like me when I was staring at your Morton's, kind of like that, Spencer.
There's some like close shots of me. The guy's got the camera right on my face. We're outside. There's no makeup. It's going to be a disaster.
Joe Tronic says that next time he comes to L.A. to visit his brother, you can stare at his hairline.
But I wouldn't. I wouldn't stare at his hairline.
But I think he's welcoming you to do that.
Him and I would get drunk and not look at each other's hair for a second. I know that. That's what would happen.
I'd love to see how Joe Tillman looks personally. I'd love to see it.
I wouldn't look. I don't care. I want to just meet Joe. That's it.
I love to stare at his hair and comb through it, see how it looks.
You don't think Mike from Hassan Wong, when I met him a couple of times, this guy, it's like laser vision. He's looking at my hairline. It's like, all right, dude, listen, I know. I get it. But you're not going to find anything except for makeup and a really creative comb over.
But you know what, Spencer? He couldn't tell though.
Who this guy?
Gerry. He was honest. He didn't know that you were doing that unless you told him.
No, I told him.
Right, but I mean, he said it looked very good.
He asked me, we were doing an interview in the backyard, and he asked me, he goes, "Is that your real hair?" And I'm like, "Whose do you think it is?" He goes, no, it looks very good, but you're the guy who does hair loss. You're the founder of the American Hair Loss Association. I figured either you had a hair transplant or maybe you're wearing something that's really good that we don't know about. And I'm like, I showed them the makeup and the comb over, and they kind of got it.
But you've had no surgery. You haven't had any hair surgery, as we all know.
No, I haven't. But you know what? If I had it, I wouldn't tell you guys anyway.
Any hair transplant surgery can give you the density that you presently have. Believe.
No, the density. You can see through my hairline if you look close. You can see. Like if you really look, and he was looking, it's kind of see through in the very front, but otherwise it's not bad. I pull the comb over pretty well.
Well, next time I see you, Stunts, I'll bring a flashlight and a magnifying glass, and I will inspect you.
Oh, they were doing that. These guys are doing that. They're probably saying that's not his hair. That guy is so full of shit. That is not his hair.
Will this show be broadcast in the United States or just in Great Britain?
No. Well, I don't know. It might. I guess if it's popular enough.
Well, the BBC has a channel on a lot of the cable networks, so it may be something we could pick up.
Well, look, they're getting good guys. They decided to go across the country. They didn't want to do something just in one local area. So they're in LA. They were in Ohio, which is wild. They went to see Dr. Haber, which I think is great. And I think they're pretty much sticking to mostly IHRS members. I know they're seeing obviously the guy. In Ireland, I'm not going to mention his name, somebody I don't currently recommend, but they're very impressed by him because he has a really great facility. But, I try to explain that it doesn't necessarily mean that the results are great. But this particular producer said if she had a choice to go to someone in the UK that I recommend and someone, this other person, she'd probably go to the other person just based on the facility. I'm like, that's not a great idea. But I get it. I get that. It's all about marketing. It's all about if you have a great office and it looks like you have a great staff and you have a great facility, then I can see why, that would turn somebody on. But the bottom line is results.
Joe Tronic in the chat room said they should come to Haston and Wong and wants to know if there's any place they can write to the BBC.
Let me see. Tell Victor to give me a call. I'm just kidding. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you their information. Sure, absolutely. You should write them.
Guys, make one quick question. I'm breaking something very breaking. Just one quick question.
Yeah, dude. You know what the guy said? He's like, "Who's the drunk guy that called in at the beginning of the show?"
He told me. I wasn't breaking. That's it.
No, I'm the drunk guy.
No, I'm wondering, could you have your staff please investigate this guy, Dr. Akai, in Japan, if he really is using his gym for the picture going on? He might, like Yale North might be giving.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call Craig Ziering tomorrow. I'm going to get him on the program. I promise you guys, and we will get the information out to you. I don't think that's the case.
Some people are saying that Yale North say, yeah, it is. I don't think it's true.
It may be. We'll see. I'll get the information for you guys.
And he charges a tremendous amount of money per injection, like $1,000 per injection. Allegedly, this is the information I have. Whether it's true or not, I don't know.
See.
It's all allegation. I mean, we need.
Could Joe repeat what he said?
Joe, can you repeat what you said?
Yes, I'd like to have Spencer's staff please investigate Dr. Akai of Japan, who's claiming to use Histogen's HSC hair growth compound. They're using it now, allegedly, and charging like $10,000 per session to give people allegedly full heads of hair. And people have emailed Gail Norton, allegedly, and she said it's true. So I don't know what to believe.
Well, we'll see. I can email Gail Norton. I can actually give her a call on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday.
Well, not you personally. I mean, delegate to your staff. I'm sure you're too busy to do that yourself.
No, I'll do it myself. I do everything myself, dude. I pick up my own phone. I'm not an asshole.
I thought you have like tremendous staff.
You know, I have guys, and look, I have to have a staff. Of course, I have a staff. But I talk to these doctors. Some of these doctors, it's like they have their receptionist give me a call first. Just pick up the phone. It's me. It's Spence. Just call me.
Spencer, not to interrupt you. How's your dad doing?
My dad is physically is much better. Mentally and emotionally, not great. Okay. I didn't tell anybody, but I went to New York for 2 days to visit my dad for his birthday. I was there. I just got back yesterday. I was there on Friday, and it was, it was kind of sad. But
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, as I'm leaving, he's like, "Can you take me with you?"
Oh man, that's gonna break your heart.
I'm like, Dad, every time I take you with me, you want to go back. And he's like, well, right? Yeah, he's like, well, I could try it. He can't try it. He can't stand the house. It's either too cold, or it's too hot, or it's this, and he just wants to get back and then hang out with his Jamaican aide, and who he calls Mama, and that's it. That's my dad. So
your father's 88. Is that correct, Spencer?
Yeah, he's 88.
Well, happy belated birthday to him.
All right. Well,
happy birthday, his father.
And by the way, I flew back on the plane. I sat right next to. Actually, Yvette came with me. Yvette actually sat right next to Reggie Jackson. And,
really?
And 2 seats ahead of us was Dave Winfield.
Holy moly!
And so I'm sitting there. I'm looking at Reggie, and I see people, they're taking out their cell phones, they're taking pictures. I don't like to bother famous people, I just, but this is Mr. October, and I'm thinking to myself,
Hall of Famer.
Yeah. He was looking at me. He's a full-blown Norwood. He was staring at me. I'm telling you, he knew who I was. Yvette said he knows you. What do you guys think about that? No, but this is what really bugged me. So we're about to land here in Los Angeles. It's about 10 minutes before we land, and he actually turns on his cell phone, starts to text, and then he tries to make a phone call.
To you?
No, not to me. But you're not supposed to use your cell phone when you're in flight.
Well, you should notify security.
That's pretty dangerous. I couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, do I say, Mr. Jackson, I really think you should turn off your cell phone. You know what I did? I just shut up. I didn't say a word.
Do you ever see him hit a baseball?
Of course, man.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't say anything to him.
Dude, the guy's 60. Listen, he looks great, but he's 65 years old.
Oh, is he?
You don't think I can kick his ass? Come on.
I don't know. He had Dave Winfield at his back, so.
Dude, Dave Winfield's a big guy, but I'm bigger than Reggie. Yeah. I'm bigger than Reggie Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, if he started some shit, I would have kicked his ass. I'm just kidding, Reggie. If you're listening, I'm just joking. It's a radio show. I'm having some fun. I had a couple of drinks. You're a great guy. I was actually in awe. I couldn't stop staring at the guy.
He was one of the great ones when I was a kid growing up.
But I was a little concerned. It was kind of like the rules do not apply to this guy, that he was actually using his cell phone on the plane.
Was he a senator or something, this guy? Was he?
What was that?
Is he United States Senator? Who is this guy?
Come on. Dude, Mr. October, Reggie Jackson.
Maybe he was working for Homeland Security.
Never heard of him.
Well, he had a guy that was wearing an A's hat next to him, a young guy. And then Dave Winfield was 2 seats in front of us. So I don't know if there was some sort of something going on. I don't know why they were. I mean, it didn't seem, it's funny because it didn't seem like they were flying together. But it just so happened that Dave Winfield was, in the front of the plane. He was right next to us, and I don't know. Whatever.
So one quick thing, it's one thing you know that Richard Dawkins resigned from that other site to devote his whole time to the boldtruth.com. I thought you wanted me to advise of that.
Oh, really? How wonderful. How wonderful for us.
I thought I'd let you know a little piece of information. He discussed it with the other site. You know what site I'm talking about. So
yes.
He's devoted himself to the boldtruth.com 100% of the day now.
Well, that's good to hear. Listen, guys, we're gonna call it a night. It was really great having the BBC here. It's great that all you guys hung out. I have no idea how many thousands of guys have watched. I'm sure Andrew will tell me. All of you guys who are listening on iTunes Radio and Stitcher Radio and on Zune, which is amazing that we're on Zune as well. Everyone who's watching on Ustream and Stickam and Justin TV and through thebaldtruth.com. Our word is spreading. We are currently one of the most watched live internet broadcasts on the internet. How insane is that? It's a Bald Show. That's insane.
You had millions of listeners and viewers for years, you know that.
Yeah, but it's a new world on the internet. It took me a while to kind of rev this thing up. It's amazing that we've gotten to this point. So I want to thank Andrew Zarian. I want to thank the guys from the GFQ network. I want to check out gfqlive.tv, guysfromqueens.com. Check us out on iTunes. The fact that we're on iTunes Radio, not easy to get the show on there.
Well, I'm sure Dave Slaz was sorry he resigned from the Bald Show.
Dave actually texted me the other day.
Well, I'm sure he's sorry.
What is he, dude? Come on, man. I hope he's doing well. That's all.
Well,
I tell you what, Spencer.
A couple weeks ago, show for Johnny from Ohio, a special birthday show, man.
Dude, your birthday is when, Johnny? The 27th?
Yes, my birthday is the 27th. I'm going to be 28.
28 on the 27th. So you're going to be, what, 48?
Yes, I'm going to be 48 years old.
You are still young. Let me tell you.
I'm older than dirt.
Dude, come on.
The 80s, Spencer, the 80s. How we could go back in the 80s to have full heads of hair and listen to hair bands.
Dude, I am close to putting my P90X videos on Facebook, so,
For Spencer, may I say happy birthday to him on 2 weeks from now?
Yes, you can, of course.
Oh, thank you, Joe.
And by the way, Joe Tillman, thank you so much for noticing that I lost over 20 pounds, by the way. And he noticed it. He actually wrote me and said I lost weight, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Spencer, again, your interview skills are above and aboard anything that you had some insecurities about, because I thought it was great. Great interview.
What the fuck are you talking about? Insecurity about what? I'm not insecure.
Well, you were insecure. You were like, well, people are saying I'm looking at the camera too much. I thought you did a great job.
No, I appreciate it. Actually, that was my wife saying, look at the guy. The poor guy looks like he's alone in that chair. That's what she said.
No, I didn't get that. I thought you did very well. You're trying to monitor the computer, and all of your audio and video equipment. I thought it was a great job.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Guys, listen, thank you so much for hanging out. Let me give out the websites, thebaldtruth.com, IHRS.org for the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Of course, check out baldtruthtalk.com. If you guys want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, if you guys, need to vent, if you guys have had bad surgery, whatever it is, go to baldtruthtalk.com. Share your experiences with other hair loss sufferers. Maybe if a guy like Gerry Anderson, is that his name? Gerry Anderson? If Gerry would have gone to baldtruthtalk.com, initially, he might have had a little bit more information going into this documentary. Not an insult, just the way that it is. Most people don't know anything when it comes to hair loss. So check out baldtruthtalk.com. And if you're a woman dealing with hair loss, please check out womenshairlossproject.com. It is the #1 online social community, social network for women dealing with hair loss. It has a great forum, a great blog. It's a great place. If you're dealing with hair loss, listen, it sucks if you're a woman, but it's a place to learn, to share your strengths and your triumphs and your sadness with other women dealing with the same issue. Until next week, I want you all to be strong, and God bless, and thank you so much for hanging out.
I'd like to thank all of my guests today. They did a swell job in showing us how easy it is so that we can really do it. If I can do it, they can do it, you can do it. But bye for now.